So my name is Deborah Goodall. I run a marketing consultancy and coaching business called Air8 Marketing. I've got 25 years of marketing experience, and I've been working as a self-employed consultant for about 10 years now. Last year I was elected to status fellow with the Chartered Institute of Marketing. So that recognises my ability as a consultant rather than a kind of academic qualification, which was, quite nice. I was quite chuffed with that. Anyway, so I work a lot with a variety of different businesses, but often these days, particularly this last year, I'm talking to companies about improving their online presence. And these are just like 4 Google tools that I suggest to clients, really, that I think that can really help with your marketing strategy, and they're really easy to use. They're all free, so you might as well take advantage of them, really. So by the end of this, you'll understand the importance of keywords and phrases, and how to be guided by Google as to what these might be for your business. We'll have a look at the basics of Google My Business. We will look at the information that's available using Google Trends and how that might feed into your content strategy. And we'll also have a quick whiz through Google Analytics. And I know Google, I mention Google Analytics a lot, and people are fairly horrified because it is just like a beast, and there's so much data in there that people don't really often get where to start. So it's a little snapshot on key data. So if you're just going to look at like some 5 minutes, like once a month, I'll show you where to go for that. Okay, so we'll start off with Google Keyword Planner. So what is a keyword? I can't see the chat. This is not going to work very well. Keywords it's the word that describes the content on your page best, and it's the search term that you want to rank for. But what I really want to ask you guys is, how do you currently work out the keywords for your website? So I think you're all able to speak to me. So we'll have to do it the old-fashioned way, by talking to each other. So how do you currently work out the keywords for your website? Anybody speaking?
Nothing at the minute, but please unmute yourselves, because I haven't got you on controlled mute, so you should just be able to unmute yourselves.
I guess just experience.
Experience tells you what keywords to use.
Yeah, basically industry knowledge.
Oh, okay, industry knowledge. Okay. And Kevin, is that from an insider in the industry, or is that from a customer point of view?
From both.
Good.
And other sources.
Good.
Media.
Good.
Codes of practice.
Yeah. Oh, you've got this wrapped up. Do you want to run this session? That's brilliant. What I often find is that businesses use keywords based on their industry knowledge, and they don't think about it from a customer perspective. And it's really important that you take a step back and think about how your customers might describe what they are looking for when they're searching for your website. Because they are not necessarily going to use jargon that you use within your industry, and therefore won't find your website if you are heavily using jargon. So always take that step back and try and work out your keywords from a customer's point of view. Very right to use industry knowledge as well, because obviously you want to set yourself up as an expert And part of that is by using the right language, but you need to balance it with what those search terms might be that your customer's using. Also then, yeah, to use other sources such as relevant media and codes of practice. So use things that your customers might also be looking at, so that everything then presents you as being an expert and someone who knows what they're doing. So in terms of Google Keyword Planner, it can help you search for keyword ideas and help you plan your online strategy a bit more. Janet, hi.
Patrick had a question. He's unable to get us to hear him, so he was going to say, I was just going to say that I'm probably not really considering keywords on my website. However, the website is not where I get business from. ... yet.
Well, let's see whether you should have been on last week's, Patrick. Maybe you were. I don't know. I don't recognise your name. But so your website maybe validates your proposition. In which case, you know, it might be that you've met someone at a networking event, or you've had a face-to-face with someone, or you know, whatever your lead generation source is, and they might still sort of Google you. So it is important still to have those keywords in there, because it might be that they've lost your business card, but they remember your name, or they remember something about what you do, or they're having a general search round, and then it comes to them, oh, actually, I remember meeting him at that FSB networking event, or whatever it might have been. So still think about keywords, even if your website is only there for validation. So often people talk about Google Keyword Planner in relation to Google AdWords. If you're going to go into setting up your own Google AdWord campaign, then Google Keyword Planner will help. But I'm looking at this from a purely keywords that you should be using to for SEO purposes. So we're not going to go into all of the columns on Keyword Planner about reach and whatnot. Okay, so this is basically what Google Keyword Planner looks like. It's free, but you do need to register for an AdWords account. Hopefully you can all see my cursor moving around here. And if you go into tools and settings, you can then see Keyword Planner under planning. So it's dead easy to kind of navigate through. So it's all up here. And it gives you the option to search for keywords. So this was a project I was working on for a client who offered walking holidays. And so it helps you kind of think about terms and phrases that potential customers are searching for related to your business, and it might uncover some niche terms that you don't currently use. So this company I was working with offered walking holidays. They were based in the United Kingdom. English, we ran it, you know, across the last 12 months. You can broaden out your search to include other things. They just wanted to look at walking holidays. And then you've got like brands in here as well. But the thing that it highlighted to us was something to do, hiking holidays, that was it. So they'd been talking all the time about walking holidays and how they offered walking holidays and self-guided walking holidays. So people had to have a certain level of ability to read a map and all that kind of stuff. But they'd not actually thought about the word hiking, which might seem really obvious, but they'd gone down the sort of self-guided route, self-guided walking holidays, and walking being the obvious one. So it's just a case of ticking a few boxes in your own mind. Have I got it all covered off? You can then go on to, because obviously we've got contours in here in Exodus, so you can go on to refine by removing brand keywords over here. And then it just brings up other things that people are searching for, so you're bringing everything further up the list. Your average monthly searches shows an approximation of searches that are taking place for those terms. Now, actually, sometimes it's better to go for something that's not got a really high search volume. Now, none of these have got what I would call to be a really high search volume, but if there's over, I don't know, if there's over 10,000 searches a month, you have to try and think about how well are you going to rank on those terms. and are you almost better being niche and then owning that niche? So it's just something to kind of bear in mind whilst thinking about your keywords. You can, of course, be super location specific. So North Yorkshire, where I'm based, England, marketing consultant. So then it kind of shows all the different iterations that people are searching for in this location. So 10 to 100 searches a month for marketing consulting services. And again, it gives you opportunities to broaden that search using the other terms that it offers. If you've already got your website up and running, like Patrick, then you can start with a website. So you could actually paste your website address in there, or paste in one of your landing pages, and then Google would actually come back with suggested keywords for that page. So it would sort of read the page for you and then generate the relevant keywords as it sees it, which gives you a chance to then kind of maybe review your copy. So if it's actually generating keywords and you're thinking, well, actually they aren't the keywords that I want to be ranking for, it gives you the opportunity to then kind of go back and go, actually, I need to rewrite this because it's not hitting where I want to be. The other option with this is you can actually then obviously put a competitor website in there. It doesn't show you what keywords they're using, it shows you what it thinks the keywords are on that page. Does that make sense to everybody? I can't even see anybody nodding because you've all turned your cameras off now. I'm going to assume that makes sense to everybody unless there's any questions on Google keywords.
No questions in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Everybody's probably gone off to make a coffee or something. So we'll move on to Google My Business. So Google My Business is it's been kind of hanging around for quite a while these days. But it's now getting airtime because there's a couple of TV campaigns running to encourage people to leave reviews on Google My Business. One of the adverts has got, what's she called? Sheridan Smith in it, and she's talking about how she's supported her local cafe sort of during this strange year that we've had, and how she's been pleased to get her coffee from her local cafe, and now she's giving back by leaving a review on Google My Business. So I think this is really quite interesting that Google are running a TV campaign like this, because to me that suggests that the review part of Google My Business is actually going to carry more importance in the future. So your Google My Business page allows you to create a business listing on Google, including your telephone number, quick hyperlinked telephone number, links to your website, etc. But it also includes any necessary information for your customers to be able to visit your store, make contact with you, or make a purchase. So this is mine, which is sort of incomplete because I haven't got in my business hours because I don't have fixed hours, and I don't have I don't run a sort of Calendly thing where people can make an appointment with me. But if you're running a business-to-business operation and you're working fixed hours, or people can make an appointment, then you can add all of that in. If you're running business to consumer operation, then you can put in all sorts of information that would be relevant to people that might be looking for you. So you can manage all of this, how it looks. You have control of this business profile, and it can help you establish authority. Google's research, so obviously slightly biased, suggests that businesses with a Google My Business listing are more trusted than businesses without. So take that as you like, really. You can also increase traffic as a result of that to your website or your shop. So you can see here, website straight link through to my website. You can also engage with your customers on your Google My Business listing. You can respond to reviews, you can answer questions, you can even enable messaging on there these days. The other part of it that Google My Business kind of benefits you from is if you are a retail outlet, or it's somewhere where you want people to go to, you know, hospitality or whatever, you then can appear on the map listings as well. So with mine, I don't want people rocking up at my office because it's in my house. So I've not got a specific address, but I still own the top of the listings by the way that I've set it up. So it's quite a complete listing. It's got a review on there. It's got more reviews than that now, and I do update it. So the better you manage your Google My Business listing, the higher you will then rank on the map search as well. Within your setting up of the listing, there's lots of things that you can do on here. And it's important that you do fill it out as much as you can. I mean, if like me, you work from home and you don't want people showing up, then, you know, there's reasons not to put things on there. Like I say, I don't work fixed hours, so I don't have opening hours on mine. But you can also get through to insights here. You can see how many people are looking at your Google My Business listing, how many searches there's been, how many times you've appeared on a map over the last 28 days, etc. And if you incorporate your keywords into your Google My Business listing, then it can help with your SEO. And the quality of information that's contained in there can also influence your rank. Now, like I say, I think the reviews part of this is going to gain increasing importance. So if you are encouraging your customers to leave reviews, then it would be no bad thing to direct them to your Google My Business listing and ask them to write reviews on there. And I would suggest that you do that in addition to any other medium that you use to collect that. So whether that's LinkedIn or Facebook, or whether you're just collecting them for your website or whatever. Always respond to reviews, because what you want to do is engage with your customers. And again, that's part of the positivity of your listing. And people can actually, you know, ask questions, etc. Through your Google My Business listing as well. So it is another sort of channel that needs managing, but I do see this as being quite a positive channel to use to drive traffic to your website, but also just for you, because you control this, and it does show up in Google results. So it's something that you can project the right image for your business through. So, like I say, respond to your reviews and try and encourage people to leave reviews on there. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? Has anybody got any questions on Google My Business?
Just a comment to say very helpful, thank you.
All right, good.
Date.
Thank you, whoever put that.
Has Julia just unmuted to ask a question? Julie, sorry, I've got a daughter, Julia, that's why I always say Julie. No questions coming through.
No questions, okay. You're all so quiet, I can't believe it. We're whizzing through this, it's, anyway. I'll just end up spending more time on analytics if you're not careful. So, Google Trends. So, a lot of people haven't heard of Google Trends, and I think it's kind of one of those bits of Google that's almost a well-kept secret. And it allows you to explore what the world is searching. And you might sort of think, well, why do I want to do that? Well, there's all sorts of reasons that you want to know what people are searching. And it can really help influence your marketing strategy, and particularly sort of your content strategy. So if you're If part of your marketing strategy is to produce really good content that people want to read and that they'll engage with on your website, then actually knowing what people are looking for at certain times of the year can really help sort of shape that content. I mean, it also shows some interesting stuff. So if you're a bit of a nerd, you know, it's worth having a look at. So this is basically what it looks like. So interest over time, location, and this was a project I was working on for a coffee company who had seen huge growth in sales of coffee beans and ground coffee just after coronavirus situation hit in the UK. So as you can see, this is 0 to 100 and it's an index rating. So it's in comparison to other searches that are taking place at that particular time. So it's not an absolute search level. It's like here, hello.
One question, just to make, we couldn't make, Julie again, we can't get the volume right on this, but anyhow, how often should you do posts on Google My Business?
Oh, back to Google My Business. So that's kind of a tricky question because a lot of it depends on what you're trying to achieve with your website. Presumably you're driving traffic to your website through your Google My Business. At a minimum, I would say be posting something once a month. And if you are a lazy poster and you've set it up right, then you will get an email from Google My Business saying you've not updated your profile in a while. Have you got anything new to say? And I think they send that almost monthly. Does that help, Julie? We'll assume that helps.
And we've got a lot of noise, so has somebody's unmuted then?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Must be a Friday feeling, everybody.
Is everybody in a sort of pre-Christmas shakedown kind of like thing going on here? It's funny. Okay, so this is an index rating in comparison to other searches that are taking place. So I think we went into lockdown about the 23rd of March. Yeah, I think it was the 23rd of March. And you can see, you know, then there was this like panic about, oh my God, where am I going to get my coffee from? So people are searching for coffee beans, basically. You can look at this on a global or city level, and you can do interest over time, sort of right back to 2004. Yeah, 2004, right up to sort of an hour by hour. Which I can't really see the benefit of, to be honest. And again, you know, we were looking at home grocery delivery relative to other searches. It's pretty not important, and then all of a sudden, it's like probably the most important thing that's happening on Google at that time when we all went into lockdown. Where am I going to buy my food? Okay, so you're like, oh well, that's all well and good. How am I going to use it in my business? Well, it's just interesting from a couple of points of view. So back to my walking holiday client, it helps you identify seasonal trends, which means that you can then create and promote content at the right time. So people are obviously looking for walking holidays here, which is, you know, Christmassy, New Year, early on in the year, not when you would necessarily be going on a walking holiday, but it's about when people are looking at the things that you want to buy. You know, there's a bit more of a peak here and it slows off in that. That must be like Black Friday or something. I would say if you're going to look at data, don't be skewed by 2020. So kind of look at 2019 for your industry and maybe 2018 and then 2020, because there's lots of strange things happening in 2020 that will massively skew your results. But if you bear all that in mind, you can get some interesting stuff out of this. So if you can identify a seasonal trend, so here there's like this seasonal trend, people are searching for walking holidays, sort of mid-December, New Year-ish. You can then go on and optimize existing relevant content sort of before that peak, so that when people start looking for it, you are already up there. And you can then utilize that within your content calendar as well, so you can start and plan, because there's nothing worse than, oh my god, I need to write some stuff for my website. What am I going to write about? Well, if you know that people are searching for walking holidays in August, you can plan that in at the start of the year, get it all written, get the job done. You can, you know, plan something in for mid to late December, promoting your walking holidays. You know, there's not much point in doing anything, or there wouldn't have been much point in doing anything here. Obviously, like I say, all this is skewed. We started coming out of lockdown about then, didn't we? So people had obviously started looking for holidays again. Like I say, if you are using this, take everything for 2020 and kind of sense check it against 2018 and 2019. The other thing that you can look at is also look at what trending searches are. So a bit like on Twitter, where you can see what a trending conversation is taking place, you can see if there's been any significant jumps in the last 24 hours for any topics. And if, you know, if they're relevant to your industry, or if it's something you want to engage with, then you can start and use that within your sort of short-term content strategy. So like yesterday, the top of the trending searches for the UK was tier checker, because they'd obviously all been rehashed. And the day before was tier 3 rules. So people kind of getting ready for actually, you know, what can I and can't I do if I get shoved into tier 3. So if you were the walking holiday proprietor, then it might be that tier 3 rules would be applicable to your business. So it might be that you would have done some content around, you know, what happens to clients who are located in a tier 3 area. You know, you're not allowed to come on holiday anymore, refund, transfer your dates, that kind of thing. So it's kind of giving you a window of opportunity for content creation that you might not have otherwise had. So you've kind of got your planned content. Big fan of the 80-20 rule. So have that all sort of planned out based on data that you can look at over time and look for spikes that you can take advantage of. But maybe also just drop in on trending searches every now and again, and see if there is something that you can take advantage of. A bit further down this page, you also get related queries. So if you've got your search term up here, it'll display other queries, which again can also help contribute to your SEO strategy in terms of what you might want to use. So it might just give you suggestions that you can then run through Google Keyword Planner to help contribute to that SEO strategy. Does that make sense to everyone? We're whizzing through this, I have to say. This lack of interaction is not good. Does anybody have any questions on Google Trends? In fact, has anybody used Google Trends before?
Julie, could I just ask you to try unmute again now? Because I've just been fiddling with the settings and see whether we can hear you this time. Really weird. Don't know what's happening there because Julie's unmuted and everything.
We had this last week. Someone was unmuted and couldn't hear them.
Kevin said don't know about Google Trends before today. Julie said haven't used Google Trends, but it sounds really good. So
good
feedback, even though we can't hear people, which is really weird because I've gone through every setting that I can do. Patrick said not used it yet, but we'll use this information to practice over Christmas. What I will say is that we do share the recorded webinar with you afterwards in any case, so you will get it. and I'll just still play with the settings to see whether I can get anybody to hear. Sorry, well, to get everybody to speak. Sorry about this.
Okay, so I will run through my slides on Google Analytics, but if anybody's got anything specific they want to know about Google Analytics, I can flip out of the presentation and just bring Google Analytics up on my screen, because we're going to have loads of time at the end because of this kind of strange inability to speak to each other. So yeah, anybody using Google Analytics at the moment?
Just waiting for responses, Deborah.
Yeah.
Yes, from Julie. I'll feed them in as we go along, really. Okay. Not yet from Patrick, but we'll give it a go after this.
Okay, so if you've got a website and you've not got Google Analytics set up, then you will need to go to the Google Analytics website sort of setup page, and you get some code, and then you or your developer, depending on how you run your website, will drop that into your website, and it allows you to then collect information about how people are using your website, and how many people are using your website, but there's all sorts of information in there. As a result of dropping that code in there, you will probably need to update your privacy policy and your cookie policy. So just bear that in mind, because you will be tracking, although it's anonymized actually, you will be tracking people. So anyway, just check your cookie and privacy policy to check that you're covered on it. So Google Analytics is brilliant but massive, and it tells you all sorts of information about what is going on your website. So this is what you see as you go into Google Analytics. This is kind of the home page. This just gives you a snapshot over the last 7 days of what's been happening on this website. So there's been 80 users, 87 sessions. So, someone's been back a few times. Tells you how many people are on your website at that very moment in time. And then there's like a little sort of thing about how you acquire users. So the home page sort of gives you a little sort of snapshot of time, but it doesn't really tell you anything super useful. So you kind of need to delve into what's going on in order to get the best information out of Google Analytics. So I would suggest that once you've got Google Analytics code in your website and you're using it, that you kind of keep an eye on it maybe once a month, because anything else is not enough information to be able to make a real picture of what's happening. So you might have spikes for various different reasons, or there might be just something odd going on. So dipping in once a month is probably enough, unless you've got like loads of abandoned carts or something and you need to be monitoring it on a much more frequent basis. So this is the first place that I would start. So I've titled these slides as the actual bits that you go into. So audience overview is audience overview. And this gives you information about how many users have used your website. And you can change the date range over here. So I look at stuff on sort of a monthly basis. You can also do that comparatively. So you could look at the same time last month, or you could look at the previous 30 days or whatever. It's very flexible. And this is showing how many new users, how many total users, how many sessions. So sessions are people that have come back more than once. Number of sessions per user, so 1.14. Number of page views, so pages per session is what is kind of one of the key ones. So how many pages do people look at when they come to your website? Average session duration, so they're on this website for nearly a minute and a half. The bounce rate is nearly 50%. It's a bit high, but it's not horrendous. We on the webinar I was delivering last Friday, we were talking a little bit about bounce rates and what was a good bounce rate and what isn't. Really depends kind of what your website's there for. So on this, you can see that there's a massive spike on the 19th of June. Now, this is actually from my events business. Hi, Janet.
What is a bounce rate?
Ooh, good question. Yeah, so a bounce rate is when someone comes to your website and then they only look at one page and then they leave. Which isn't good from Google's point of view, because Google wants people to engage with your website, and they want to know that people who are going to your website that they have found through a Google listing or through any sort of medium. They might have gone direct, but they want people to go to a website that encourages them to stay on the website, and that person finds engaging and wants to look around. So your bounce rate needs to be as low as possible to improve your rankings on search engines, but also to provide your customers with a good experience. So you don't just want them looking at one page, you want them to have a look around. Now, the bounce rate on this is at 49%. Basically because of this here and because of that. So you have to overlay your data with common sense. So this was the date of the event that was running. So people would be looking for specific information about location. And this would be when we sent out the e-shot saying, here's the photos from the event. Janet.
What is a realistic target bounce rate?
It hugely depends on your website and on your business. So last week we were chatting, there was a lady in the webinar that I was running. I think she had a bounce rate. I think she said it was 70%. Or she might have said it was 50, and we said, oh, maybe her first objective is to try and get it down to 40. But it's about trying to just all the time bring it down to as low as possible. So with this one, this is a bit high, but I know why it's high, because people would have been looking for location information and then looking at the photos from the event. So, you know, I directed them to that via an e-shot, and they would literally just go to one page and look at the photographs, because that's all they're interested in. Here, they would be looking for, actually, where am I going to? I need the map, I can't find the start of the event. It's really difficult to say what a good bounce rate is. I think you need to keep it less than 50%, but how far less than 50% depends on your own business, to be honest. And it depends on your website. So my website for my marketing business is a one-page website. So my bounce rate's massive, which was a huge error. Don't ever have one of those one-page websites. They look really cool, but your bounce rate goes through the roof, and I never thought about that ridiculously. So I've now added in an additional 2 pages to try and get my bounce rate down. So I've had to add in a blog page and do my contact page slightly differently so that my bounce rate comes down. Anyway, mistakes you make. Anybody else got questions on audience overview? No more questions. Okay. Okay, so the next bit that is important is acquisition over here. And then you go into all traffic and source medium. And again, you can change the date range. It's just off my screen grab, but it's up here. And it shows you where people have come from to come to your website. So Google organic, so your organic listings. And it breaks down the bounce rate here for the different channels that people come from. So my Facebook has a really high bounce rate. Not quite sure why. Obviously something weird with the whatever post it was that was sending stuff through. But it gives you the opportunity to kind of go into this information in a little bit more detail and start and think about the stuff that's God, we're going all over the place now, sorry. Think about the channels that's referring traffic through to your website. So that's Facebook. Facebook.com is desktop-based Facebook. M.Facebook is mobile Facebook, and L.Facebook is a link. So that would be like a blog post or something through to your website. Not all confusing, don't know why they can't just put them all on the same thing. Anyway, these are all online magazines. Bing is obviously another search engine. Redbull.com is sort of an online magazine. But it gives you an idea about where you should be spending your money, your advertising money. All of this was editorial, but actually what they did end up leading to was working with Red Bull a lot closer. They were supposed to sponsor us in 2020, which obviously didn't happen. This data is all from 2019. And you know, you can see how long people spend on the site from the different channels, how many pages they're looking at. Now this is an e-commerce website, people are buying entries to an event, and so the tickets weren't on sale here because we'd sold out, but what you would be able to see is actually what the conversion rates were as well, so the number of transactions and the revenue that they were generating. So again, if you were advertising online, you would be able to see actually what was being delivered. Does anybody have an e-commerce site? Is this interesting, useful, or not so?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you can speak, Julie.
Yeah, what the problem was, down where my microphone is, the wrong microphone was selected.
Oh, right, okay.
And now you can hear me.
Yay! So do you have the e-commerce conversion rate set up on your Google Analytics, Julie?
No, there's only a small part of my website that is actually e-commerce, and that's relatively quite new, so
right.
That's something that I need to look into.
Yeah. So you need an additional bit of tracking code to do the e-commerce conversion thing through the admin setup on Google Analytics. Okay. But it's well worth having, because if you are doing anything that's directing traffic to your website, then you want to know whether it's worthwhile or not. You know, whether it's a free activity, you know, like these are all editorials, but I still want to know whether it's worth my while spending all that time on the phone to the guy at Red Bull, or should I spend more time on the phone to the guy at singletrackworld.com? Who knows? Yeah, no,
that's great, thank you.
Okay, has anybody else got questions on acquisition all traffic source? No furious typing going on. Okay.
No, we're clear on the typing.
On the typing. Okay, so the next bit that I think is important to look at is in behaviour, and it's site content and all pages. So this is basically tells you what's happening on the pages of your website. So number of page views, number of unique page views, time on that page. So this is your home page always. And actually I'm quite pleased that people aren't spending that much time on my homepage, because actually what I want them to do is go somewhere else and spend some money. So the bounce rate on my homepage is quite low, 35%, which is good, again, because it means that the people that I'm delivering to my homepage are actually people who get there and then think it's the right place to be. Page value, again, all links to how much money people spend. No transactions because we sold out. Different events, different pages, and so you can go through and see how many people kind of land on those. So it might be that you link through from something on your social media, or directly from any newsletter, or from some editorial might be dropping people in. So the bounce rate on this one is higher, and that'll be the bounce rate on that one's really high because there was no entries left. Same with that one. So you can sort of see what's happening on your website. You can see if people are exiting from that page. If you've got a shopping, an e-commerce website, you'd be able to see you know, which products people were looking at, and whether they were exiting on those or converting on those. So it can provide you with lots of information to help you kind of drill into what's happening on your website. Yeah, I'm very conscious that we've whizzed on I'm half an hour ahead of myself. Okay, so anybody else got questions on all pages site content?
Nothing on the chat as of yet.
Okay, I can't hear anybody typing either. Oh.
No questions. No, we're okay. Okay, carry on.
Okay, so this bit, conversion multi-channel funnels, top paths here, conversion multi-channel funnels, top conversion paths. This is important to look at for a couple of reasons. What you don't, if you think back to the page where we were looking at all traffic source, and then we were saying, oh well, you know, that piece of editorial in Red Bull would have generated X amount of income because there were so many entries sold. That's fine, but actually you need to look at it in a little bit more detail, because it's unlikely, but not. I've lost the word now. It might not be that people come to your website and then just immediately purchase. They might come to your website via an organic search, then come direct, and then come via a referral, and then make their purchase. So there'll be maybe more than one channel that they've used to make that purchase. So the referral could well have been that redbull.com piece. So they might have found us Google or Bing. They might have then come back direct to have another look at the website, and then they might have read something on redbull.com or singletrackworld.com or something, and come back to the website to make the purchase. So in this example, there's 3 channels to purchase. So this is important because you don't want to just make assumptions that people are just coming direct to your website and making a purchase, which is unlikely anyway. So it's all about those number of touch points to make someone into a customer. So you'll know yourself, well, I'm terrible for it. You go to a website, you have a look around. Oh, I'll think about buying that jumper. And then it might be that, you know, they've got ad remarketing going and they follow you around the internet, and then you'll go back, you might have another look at it, you might have a look at competitors, and then you might just go direct back and purchase it. So there'd be 3 touch points on there to purchase. And it's just about understanding the importance that the different elements have within that pathway. Does that make sense? Yeah,
definitely. That's really, really helpful.
Yeah. Good. You said you've not got it set up, didn't you? So
I don't think I have. I did it through like a little like widget thing or whatever it is when you set your website up.
Yeah. So you have got Google Analytics, but you've not got the e-commerce.
So I've got the. No, I'll have to have a look because I'm through WooCommerce, and I know that did quite a lot of things automatically, but I'll go back and double check.
Yeah.
On the conversion part on Google Analytics.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll have a look at it.
That is it. We've kind of whizzed through that in 50 minutes, which doesn't feel good, to be honest. Does anybody have questions on Google Analytics? Does anybody want to know a different bit of Google Analytics? I can flip out of this and into it live if we want to play about and have a look. If someone, you know, if anybody wants to know a particular part or understand something a bit more.
Nothing coming through on the chat at the moment. No. Okay, well, to give people time to think, I can just do my little bit on the actual digital catalyst, and then if anybody's got any questions at the end of that, you can very welcome to come back with them, and Deborah can obviously go live, as she says, to something else. So in terms of what the offer is going forward after the webinars, we do other webinars. We're starting again in January, which the dates are down there for you. and usual login routes. You will get reminders of these or updates because you're on our listings now. So they're the dates for you there. Hopefully you'll come and join us in the new year when we're all refreshed and feeling so much better. And then following on from the webinars, you can actually engage with our one-to-one support, which is the specialist support that's coming up on your screen now. That's the Digital Catalyst support if you're based in the Humber region. It is European funding, and it is specific for Humber-based businesses. So there's a couple of eligibility checks to jump through, but please register and then we can find out whether there is one-to-one support out there for you. Now, the one-to-one support involves the following, and we just whiz through because they've obviously nicely done it as drop downs. So they've done, and Deborah has to be my helper here. She's my little Santa helper because she has to load everything. So we offer a review of your current digital adoption, which can sound very grand, but it's actually looking at your business to see what you've adopted, where it sits within the business, what your feelings are and want of digital adoption is, and then we analyse to see whether your systems are engaging all together, whether we can enhance that performance and improve it. And then we define that as an outcome, as what it is you would need to improve those areas. It can be as simple as a social media marketing platform. It can go all the way to an e-commerce platform. And we will look at that and we will deliver an implementation plan. We can't fund the purchase of some of these things under European law, but we can get you to an implementation plan so that you understand better the needs of what your business needs to do in terms of digital across a number of sectors. If I can move on. And we're going to see an overview here. So what we do is, if you just flick it through, Deborah, to the 3, it'll be fine. we do what's called the digital benchmark, which is we ask you a summary amount of questions about your business to understand what your thoughts are. Now, that sounds very grand, but actually it's a thought-provoking process rather than a questionnaire. So it's to make you think about where you are, where you want to be, and how you would get there. It's that point we will take what that action plan gives us, and we will place a digital specialist, a digital technical specialist with you. I'm going to cough, excuse me. And then we will look to, after that, produce a digital plan for you and then broker in other support agencies. Now that could be around looking for funding for you. We don't, under the programme, give the business any funding levels. The funding that we have is to deliver the support to you, not to actually give grants to the business. Okay. Not sure what the next slide is. So we've kind of covered that. So we look at in depth at the business to look at what systems are stopping you from developing further on, or what your knowledge base is and where those gaps are, and we'll work with that to get you to a point where there is improvement in your digital adoption, or there is a want to digitalize your business based on the fact that you now have improved knowledge. Okay, Deborah. So this is some of the examples, probably the more the popular ones. So introducing e-commerce, cybersecurity, I'm not going to go through them all with you, and a little bit of the digital marketing, social media support, which delves again into what Deborah's just gone through. And we can look at implementing customer relationship management and looking at the GDPR elements of that. Okay. So this is just keep pressing the button. No, I'll keep it going through. So that's a summary of it in a nutshell. I think I've covered most of that. One-to-one support, hand-holding to get you started, and a shortcut to the businesses. So what we're trying to do is take out an element of that. Where do I go? How do I find those right people? And we should. Okay, we're on to incomes. So outcomes. All these are potentially where you will see a lasting impact from, improved cyber safeness, growth in the business, better communications between a number of platforms is what I'd say, whether that you feel that's a social media platform or even your software computerization, your accountancy systems and your CRMs. And after that, here is our contact details. Please do register, particularly if you do happen to sit in a tourism, hospitality or retail industry, because we do have, oh, actually, I'm going to stop there because that's not relevant to this programme. I deliver 2 programmes, so I've got to be careful. So please do register and we can get support into you in the new year. And really, I think that's probably, yeah. So that's where you need to register at to get all that support. Now I'm sure, oh, Kevin would like to know where Deborah's company name, what Deborah's company name is and location.
Air 8 Marketing, and I'm based near Easingwold in North Yorkshire.
Very nice area. Very nice area. So if anybody else would like to try to unmute their mic yet again and give us any questions, that's fine. If you want to drop it in the chat, that's also fine. Whilst you're still thinking about it, I'm going to launch a poll. What we try to do with the poll is to understand whether we're hitting the right subject matter and the right audience with this. So I would welcome your you to fill in the poll while you're thinking of any further questions. I'm not worried about the time being shorter. I'm more than happy to stay on the call, and I'm sure Deborah will be.
Yeah, absolutely. If people have got questions,
yeah,
we'll work out some way of speaking to each other.
An IT question, I think, but I'm not sure of that one. But yes, please do come with your questions. And if you can't, if you think of a question afterwards, please do use the email that was on that slide 1 before, I think, Deborah, to get in contact and we will try to answer your questions.
Yeah, like if anybody is on LinkedIn and they've got a specific question and they want to connect with me on LinkedIn, then you can find me on there and just send me a message, that's fine.
And as we say, we do share the recording with you, so there will be time afterwards. Well, I'm sure you don't want to spend Christmas doing it, but there will be your own time where you can review the webinar at your own leisure and pick up the points at your own time. And as I say, please do come with those questions, else we're all going to have an extended coffee break, which will be very nice, I think.
No, I'd just like to say that's been really, really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah, it's kind of, I find myself that I know a little about a lot of things, but kind of gone more in depth, particularly the Google Analytics. I look at it and I get really excited when I see that people are live on my site, but then I don't know what else to do and where to look for information. So that has given me some really key points.
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of have Google Analytics and then they're like, actually, oh my God, there's so much in there, I don't know what to look at. So I just think it's worth just kind of having those maybe 3 or 4 things just to monitor on a monthly basis, just so you can get an idea of what's happening within your own business and on your own business website, really.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you.
That was me typing away, Deborah, sorry. Okay, I'm going to bring it to a close now as we appear to be not having any more in the chat. I'm more than willing to stay on. Yeah, Patrick, thank you, Deborah. The analytics part is useful for me to explore further. Need to see about where to add the code. Don't use the e-commerce yet. Kevin, thank you, very interesting. So good feedback there. And Catherine also said thank you earlier on, it was very helpful.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Well, I wish you all a Merry Christmas, everybody, and a relaxing one, depending on how you spend Christmas. I do hope you find it restful. And I'll bring the meeting to a close now, unless it's a bit of a countdown. I always say that, and then somebody always asks a question. Yeah. Patrick said, wishing everybody happy Christmas. Okay, everybody, see you in the new year. Thanks now.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.